Hello, everybody. This is actually our review of Thor, Love and Thunder from our podcast, The Weekly Planet. I know people might want to know our thoughts and also might not know that we have a podcast, so I put this here. You don't have to listen to the podcast anymore. It's this segment at least.
Have you noticed we're quite hoarse now from talking about how much we both loved Thor, Love and Thunder?
Well, a little bit of a spoiler up top, but one of us maybe didn't love it at all. I don't think either of us actually loved it.
No.
Anyway, leave a like, podcast, etc., and so forth. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye. But see you in 1 second.
We're doing it now.
Yeah. So bye, but see you in
1 second.
Immediately.
Hi, we're here to talk. Nah, it's still us from the start. It's us from the start, Mason.
That's right.
This is the same recording from earlier.
Remember answering machines, James? And you'd be like, hey, who's this? Just kidding, I'm an answering machine. Can't do that anymore. I guess you can.
Yeah.
Voicemail on that.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
It's still us again. I'm going to stop. I'm sorry. Anyways, it's time, Mason, to talk about Thor, Love and Thunder. And like we do when we always talk about Thor, Love and Thunder, I like to talk about the budget and box office performance.
Oh, budget and box office.
As of so far. Now, this one is the fourth most expensive MCU movie to date.
Really?
Behind some of the Avengers movies, except for the first one.
I saw that the figure I saw was $185 million. Is
apparently
that not correct?
$250 million.
Whoa, I was way off.
Who knows? I mean, it was also filmed during COVID, and there's a number of things in place because of that. It was delayed multiple times. There's a lot of pretty famous people in this and so on.
Marvel do require a lot of money just to be funneled into a furnace.
That's right.
After a certain point, like if you don't finish on time,
they say this is your fault.
This is your fault.
They make you watch.
Right. That's right.
As they shovel it in. In terms of box office, it's they think it might be a little bit underperforming expectations, but it does seem to have a higher opening than Ragnarok.
Okay.
Ragnarok in the US had a 122.7 opening weekend, million opening weekend.
Sure.
And
not decibel.
No. This one is estimated to be anywhere between 140 to 143 million, and then an additional 150 million internationally. So all in all, it'll probably be around the 300 million mark, give or take. Now, in terms, this is something I sometimes talk about or have never talked about.
Oh, yes.
It's got a cinema score of a B+.
Oh, and a Rotten Tomato score.
Yeah.
I'll just check now, of a very nice
68%. Yes, I thought. So that can also affect it. Like an A+ movie generally will perform better over the longer term. This one seems to have divided people a little bit more. What do you think the story was?
Oh, all right, hang on. Okay, all right. So Thor.
Yep.
Remember Thor? He was all, I'm sad. Remember that? But then he got over it. And then in this time around, he's back, baby. He's doing these adventures with the Guardians of the Galaxy. But he's like, I love zapping things and punching things and smashing stuff.
Being silly.
But I wish there was more to life, you know?
More for Thor,
there was more for Thor. I wish there was more for Thor. But then other stuff happens. For example, Gorr the God Butcher's out there and he's killing all those gods. So maybe
for time you could have said E.G.
Oh yeah, that would have been good. Okay, so E.G. for example, Gorr's out there and he's killing all those gods.
Yeah, and he wants to stop that.
He wants to stop that.
Yeah.
I want to stop Gorr. And also, there's where's Natalie Portman?
She's Thor.
Jane Foster. Yeah, she's also Thor. That's not a surprise. In the comic books, this series went for like 7 years, and that was a big surprise.
That's right. Yeah.
In this, it's not a surprise because it's in the trailer.
No. And in the comics as well, you can kind of disguise who is Thor.
Yes.
The version of Thor that she is, because you put a helmet on and it's drawn, and you're like, who is that mysterious woman? But in this, you put a helmet on Natalie Portman, and you're like, that's clearly Natalie Portman
in a helmet, sure. Yeah.
Got to say, that helmet wildly fluctuates in quality, doesn't it?
From sure does,
scene. Yeah. Anyways, I had a really good time with this, and you...
Explain yourself.
Okay.
I'm not going. This isn't a trap. This isn't a trap. I'm just curious.
Sure. Okay. I thought
you had a really good time.
Yeah, I just thought it was really ridiculous. I don't know whether it was even that it was funny, because I don't think the gags maybe landed as much as the last one. Okay. But it's just very silly. And I also think a lot of the heartfelt stuff, which is in the back end, seemed to work also. And then they roll in Russell Crowe and he's doing his best Con the Fruiterer. That's a local reference. Look it up. There's some stuff in this that is just so bizarre and silly and strange. And also, I think, the universe kind of expands out in a big way. I thought Christian Bale was really good as the villain. It's not perfect. There's a bunch of things in this which I will end up, criticizing.
Oh, interesting.
But
criticism for this movie?
Yeah, but I just thought it was pretty fun.
I'll tell you this much. You did mention it, and we've had a number of people tweet at us about this.
Yeah.
They're like, what's Russell Crowe doing? So to be clear, what he is doing is he's channeling the power of every 1980s Greek-Australian fish and chip shop proprietor.
Yes.
That's
or parody of that.
That's what he's doing. It was a big thing in the 80s. That's exactly what he's doing. It's like you said, it's a little bit Con the Fruiterer. It's a little bit Franco Cozzo.
It's wild because I'm loving the era that he's gone into.
Yes.
He's just kind of leaning into being like, I'm a kind of Santa-y kind of kooky old guy.
Yes.
Where he was like, he's Gladiator or he's a serious reporter or he's like taking down the mob. And now he's just like, fuck it. I'm doing this.
That's right. I enjoyed his performance. I think
well, you said it was your favorite part.
It's my favorite part of this movie, I think. He's really going into that. And the question, of course, has arisen, is it racist?
I mean, probably.
Well, it's interesting because it's sort of, for people who are not in Australia, there's a big kind of, what he's doing is he's channeling this specific kind of, in the 80s and 90s, what was huge was a certain type of ethnic comedy, which sort of favored like Greek Australian, Lebanese Australian, Italian.
What did you not like about it though?
That particular performance.
No, in general. Though.
Look, first of all, let me say this.
Okay.
Let's do a little caveat here. Folks, if you're out there and you've purchased tickets for Thor Love and Thunder for the near future, and you're very excited and you're going to go out there and you're having a great time at the movies, or you have seen it already and you did have a great time at the movies and you want to chat to some people about it, or you're waiting for that 45-day window so you can watch it on Disney Plus and you're pretty confident you're going to have a great time at the movies.
Yeah.
If you're a part of any of those groups and you think that somebody criticizing this movie might lessen your enjoyment of the movie, I would probably recommend skipping to the next segment of this podcast. And I say that based on some feedback I have received in the past when I did criticize, for example, some big Marvel blockbusters like Eternals or Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm not going to win any friends.
No, it also works the other way. Mm-hmm. So I feel like for me, people will be like, you love everything, etc., and so forth. If I like this, it doesn't matter at all.
Well, really, exactly. Our opinion shouldn't matter, really.
I think, though, I think this might be the first Marvel movie. This is the most divided we've been on anything.
Oh, do you think so? Not even Eternals?
Well, no, because I didn't like Eternals very much.
Oh, you loved it.
I definitely didn't love it.
That's interesting.
We did a whole episode on it.
I remember you loving it a lot.
I said I didn't like it.
You said let's go to the tape. I loved it.
That's good, actually.
Yeah, it was yeah.
Thank you for bringing that in. That was boring. I don't think it did enough with the universe.
Yeah. Hang on, let me just check. What else is on this tape of you? Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who. James, please.
I meant that, though.
Yeah, no, I spoke.
And I will not be deleting that tweet.
Anyway, what I think is this movie was awful. Like
Thorful?
Thorful.
Wow.
Just absolute bottom rung Marvel as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Look, I've got a lot of notes. Hang on,
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
While you're gathering that.
Okay, please.
For a couple of things, Chris Hemsworth said, I'll wait for fans to say, no thanks, we've had enough of you for when he leaves Thor. He wants to do it forever, it seems. Also, good paycheck. And via the AP News, Taika Waititi said, I'm going to make Thor in love. It's probably the last thing that a Thor fan really wants to hear. For me, it's good to give fans something they don't know that they want.
What about the first two Thor movies?
That's what I thought as well. Like, 3 of the 4 are love stories, right? And and even in the movies, like, outside of that, so like the first or second Avengers, like he's talking about Jane Foster and whatever. Like, he's a romantic character, so there was nothing in this that made me go, this isn't the Thor that I remember.
Like, isn't Thor perhaps the mythological basis of Thor is not romantic?
No, but I'm like this.
Yeah, but when I think of Thor, I'm like, oh, it's a historical figure and he's all Fabio-esque and he's got the hair on. That's a romantic whole situation. Anyway, well, speaking of criticism, over the years of these Marvel movies, we've certainly had a lot of people that are like, a lot of reviewers that are like, bloody, here comes another cog coming out of the Marvel assembly line, whatever. And I'm always like, that's not a productive line of criticism, because it's like criticizing, a rom-com. Yeah. Just because it's got elements of a rom-com. It's like, just
because it's got Catherine Bigelow. No, Catherine
Heigl?
Yes.
Oh, it's Catherine Heigl and Seth Rogen, and they meet and they don't get along, but then a series of circumstances happen and they fall in love. Oh, yuck, more of that. Like, that's not just because it has those elements. What you need is a cast and your crew, and you need to bring that in.
Yeah.
Like something. And like, it's the same. The Marvel formula, we all know what the Marvel formula is. It is, there's a bad guy and he wants to do a bad thing and or get a bad thing.
Yes.
And it's up to the good guy to
stop. This one, it's both.
Yeah, and it's bad.
Also, we're going to do spoilers down the line.
Yeah, we'll do spoilers eventually. Yeah. And the good guys have to stop him.
Yep.
And they do so sort of via the medium of 3 to 4 large action sequences that are strung together with exposition and quips, right? And so I think the best of the Marvel movies, we get like exciting and innovative action sequences. We get quips that work with the characters. We get exposition. Like they're all going to have exposition, but it's hidden in scenes in a world that seem real.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But I feel like what Thor Love and Thunder asks is, what if we did the Marvel formula and we added nothing?
Okay, so do you think like it feels like Ragnarok kind of redone?
No, it feels to me like they just got the absolute bare skeleton of the formula and they went, all right, so we need to get the characters from A to B with some exposition. Let's just have them say the exposition.
Okay.
Like,
do you think that like was aided by the fact that a lot of this was shot in lockdown or on the volume or green screen?
And it wouldn't shock me if a lot of scenes they didn't really know where they were going to go.
There's a particular bit at the end where they're in like a void, and I'm like, this is the volume, obviously.
Yes, right.
So I agree. I totally agree.
Like
with you
for
on
example, I'll try not to spoil anything, but just speaking in vagaries, like the opening sequence where we meet Gorr, and his ethos is all gods must die, and it starts out I think fairly strong. He's sort of wandering the desert with his child, and
I thought that was really good,
etc. But then it may as well have been he gets handed a big like burglar's sack that says motivation on it. Just like it was so the scene where he goes on his mission, like it felt so like on the nose and kind of so
like the way that the way he was presented with the weapon, the gods that he came across, like that kind of thing.
Just the delivery of like the runtime in this movie is short. We got 2 minutes to make this happen.
Yeah,
let's just throw it in there. And it felt like every scene was that.
Really,
to me, it felt like every scene was. And James, I know you've seen this, but the episode of SNL, the Jeremy Renner hosts.
Oh yeah.
Remember there was that obligatory like Avengers Hawkeye scene where it's just actors standing shoulder to shoulder and they're just saying words.
Yeah.
To me, it felt like every scene of this movie was just that.
So maybe if you like mixed it in more with the action sequences or as they're doing something.
Yeah, but it really just felt like people standing there and then going like, oh, we need to go and get to the new thing. We need to go to the next area. Oh, well, how are we going to do that? Well, I've got a ship. All right, well, let's get on the ship.
Well, it's funny.
Like a quip, exposition, another quip, scene transition.
Okay,
next
sure.
Scene.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think also like a lot of stuff was tried in this like it was with Ragnarok. Because Ragnarok was like, I remember saying something like 80% like improvised. And I think it would be very possible that that's what's going on here. Because I've got a list of things which I'll talk about later, which were cut out.
Okay.
And I think that, this was a lot of throwing like stuff against the wall and seeing kind of what would stick.
Right.
And I think it does kind of, at moments, it leaves kind of odd gaps or weird pacing and
there was
things like that.
It was weirdly disjointed and like tonally weird. So I suspect a lot of criticism of this movie is going to be brushed off as like, well, actually, people, you wanted something different from the Marvel formula, and this is a full-on comedy. So if you think too hard about it,
I don't think it is a full-on comedy.
It's not though. First of all, I disagree. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think it is a full-on comedy. I think it is just the Marvel formula again with more jokes, which is different from being a comedy. But I think people like, if you think about this too hard, you're a big-time loser kind of thing. But like. First of all, I'm not thinking about it.
First of all, we have to. This is the show we do.
But first of all, when I'm in the movies, I'm not thinking about it too hard. I'm just being presented with a narrative, and I'm like, my brain just goes, does this make sense or does it not make sense?
Yeah, okay.
Does it feel real or does it not feel real? And also, if you spent like more than a decade building a universe, like an all-encompassing universe, and the secret to its success is that people think about it too much, I think it's too late to then go, oh, you thought about this one. Big mistake. Shouldn't have thought about it. This one's all about not thinking about it.
I see. I didn't feel that at all. I didn't think it like came apart when you thought about it. I think as like most of these, here's
an example for you, James.
I would love to hear it.
Okay. So Gorr's mission is to all gods must die.
Yep. By the way, I thought he was great. I thought
he's good. I think
really
he's doing well with what he had.
If anything, I'd like to have seen more.
I reckon that he read all the 7 years of the comic run. And then he's like, I'm ready to be Gorr. And they're like, well, here's some X's to stand on.
Yeah, well, that's probably.
But he
got Eccleston.
Yeah, he did get Eccleston. So Gorr's oath is that all gods must die.
Yep.
Given the gods were presented in this movie, is he wrong?
No.
No, he's 100%.
And that's what I
correct.
think is compelling about it.
Yeah.
Where at the end, like the choices that he makes and the things that he does, I'm like, yeah, he should do this. Because every single god we meet in this, with the exception of like the core cast,
Right.
awful.
So why is he not the good guy then?
Because he would kill Thor, I guess.
That's why. So like, there's even a scene. There's a piece of dialogue sort of midway where it's revealed that the gods have a little wager going.
Yeah.
To see which of them can get the greatest number of their followers to sacrifice themselves. So how long's this been going on? And how many people has it been? So has it been like 1,000 years? It's been like 1 million people. So that's like a bunch of Thanoses.
Yes.
Just a bunch of tin pot Thanoses just running around, running little death cults.
Yes.
So that's bad.
Yeah, I know, but it's also like these are the gods that we see. So like presumably there are other gods. Apparently like the Black Panther god is actually in this.
Oh.
So I think there are like other gods in this universe that aren't terrible.
But we don't
as
see
well.
any of them.
No, we don't see any of that.
But what I'm saying is like Thor's whole deal is that he couldn't stop Thanos.
Oh, we see the big stone tiger mountain.
Oh yeah,
one.
okay.
He's like, this one was cool.
Yeah, but we don't see him do anything cool.
No, but he says this one was cool.
We need what I'm saying is that Thor's whole deal was he couldn't stop Thanos and it ruined him.
Yeah.
But now now we learn it's a joke for us, the audience. And if it was in like Meet the Spartans, it would be a funny joke. But in the movie,
The one funny joke.
But in the movie, it's real.
Yeah.
And like that means that there's a bunch of guys out there that he should be like Thor should be stopping them as well.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I think also that's what's interesting about it, and then we can't talk about it till spoilers, and the decision he makes that Gorr makes at the end isn't about the universe and the gods. It's a personal decision that he makes at the end. And I think that kind of plays into...
But his personal decision should be that all gods must die.
No, not necessarily. But we'll talk about it at the end. Anyway, I just want to quickly talk about they changed the sword. So in the comics, the sword it's a Venom sword.
Yes.
And presumably because it'd clash with Sony, it'd be a whole thing.
Oh yeah.
They change it. It's a Shadows sword. Doesn't mean anything. I just thought it was interesting. Here's some things that I didn't think worked comedy-wise, Mason.
Okay,
I thought Jane Foster trying out different catchphrases. By the way, I thought she was great, by the way. I think Natalie Portman is a really good Thor.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see more of her. We'll get into that more at the end, I guess. But like I thought the screaming goats was not like a particularly compelling...
I thought
it could have been utilized more.
Yeah.
As like it was like the joke was just that they're screaming.
I kind of like this. There's when we first see the screaming goats and they're sort of being corralled into Thor's ship.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite funny.
But it doesn't get better. They don't do anything else with it.
No, they don't do anything else with it. There's at the start of the movie, Thor is teaming up with the Guardians to do like a little Guardians adventure.
Yeah.
Which we see in the trailers. And there's like a priest. He's helping out this.
That's Stephen Curry.
Oh,
I was like, who is that? And I looked at Stephen Curry. Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah, I agree.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Sorry, you were saying helping with the priest. So you didn't like that little action sequence where he does the Van Damme splits and all that and flies up through the
it's pretty fun.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like you can, if you want to make it a comedy, it still has to work in the context of the larger universe that it exists in, because otherwise it breaks stuff.
Yeah.
Like the boys can do jokes in that universe, but like if there was a scene where Butcher's like, oh, we're going to get Homelander and I've got these laser eyes now and I tested them on a hospital. Like they wouldn't go, classic Butcher, let's move on.
Yeah.
The scene would be about like, did you just kill a bunch of people?
Yeah.
And it's weird that like nobody reacts. Like Jane Foster isn't like, Thor, do you sacrifice people as well? Do I have to do that now that I'm a god?
But I think the general understanding in that scene where they're at the center of gods and whatever, they're just all the worst ones that get together and do that.
So why wouldn't Thor just give the address of that place to Gorr and then be like...
Yeah, but I think he also knows that out in the universe there are people that are...
Well, I would love to have a scene where... And again, this is one of the shortest Marvel movies. Yeah. And I say, maybe give us an extra scene where there's a god trying to help their followers grow some crops or whatever, and Gorr just shows up and slashes them to bits, and you go, he's gone too far now.
Okay.
You know?
No, I'm glad
or really any gods being killed on screen.
I'm glad that they didn't do that. I'm glad that they left it ambiguous. I'm glad that they left it like that Gorr's right. Because I think one of the cop-outs from the first Black Panther movie, the one that has been out as of so far, is that Michael B. Jordan and the decisions he's making, you're like, oh, he's right. And then it's like, oh, I'm just going to kill anybody. And it's like, well, okay, now you have to be stopped, obviously. Whereas this, there wasn't that moment of like, oh, we saw him like kill that orphan, so now he's got to die. There was never that moment, and I liked that.
Right, but he could kill some good gods, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like he didn't kill.
I mean, he did. He killed Falagar, the big
we
big
didn't
dog.
See it, and also we only have Thor's reassurance that he's good. We don't know.
Yeah, but he's the guy.
Nah. What I think the reason that Thor has to, the reason that we're supposed to this is Inhumans all over again. Because it's not. It is, because the good guy is like he's trying to save like the royals.
Yeah.
But he doesn't care about the little people, like the sacrifice people.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about those people.
But I think also there's probably, and you're probably right, that this could have been elaborated on, that there would be a knock-on effect. Anyway, I feel like I'm just going in circles.
All right, okay.
But yeah, look, it's a valid point, but I think slightly different thing, Mason.
Okay.
I think I'm done with Korg, though. I don't think he needed to be in this like as much as he is.
But somebody needs an extra paycheck.
Maybe. But I don't know. It's like he could have been like a little cameo. You know, I don't think he needed to be like for
throughout
most
the
of
whole
the adventure.
movie, right,
which he, for the most part, is. Another thing, a joke that I did think worked was the Mjolnir and Stormbreaker kind of scenario. You know, there was that kind of rivalry.
So are they sentient or are they not sentient?
I don't know. Okay. It's never explained.
Because if they're sentient,
well, Stormbreaker's got a bit of like Groot, so that could have a component of it. I don't know.
Look, we'll have to talk about it. We'll have to talk about an element of that in spoilers, I think.
But I also like the Mjolnir as a weapon. Like it's got a slightly different thing it can do because it's been shattered. It can split into different parts. And I thought that was great.
I mean that's like all right. Like Iron Man's got those shoulder thingies that do basically the same thing.
Yeah.
He's had those for 10 years.
I mean, they all shoot lasers.
Yeah, I know, but I mean like.
The new weapon was nothing, by the way. The lightning bolt.
Oh, right.
That's not really anything.
Yeah. But what like
it looks ridiculous, which I think is the point.
Yeah. But I feel I haven't been critical enough. What was the best action sequence?
I thought I can't talk about it. The one towards the end,
like third act action sequence.
Yeah, like third act.
Okay,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I feel like that probably had the most creativity to it. The one that I liked the most, but like. I didn't feel like any of this was really dynamic or exciting. It felt like mostly just people talking in rooms.
Yep.
There's this one's in the trailer. You know, there's an action sequence that's sort of in black and white. I feel like there were a couple of monster designs that I thought were pretty interesting. Like there's one that's sort of like it's got like a herky-jerky kind of Harryhausen kind of effect to it. But again, I don't think the action sequence was really good. I think they had a little shade of Suicide Squad to them where it's just like...
First Suicide Squad, actually.
Yeah, first Suicide Squad, where they're just muddy men.
No, that is... Yep, I'd agree with that.
They're just... I think like one of the...
Because they're supposed to be shadow creatures.
Yeah, but I think like one of the downfalls of perhaps superhero movies can tend to be it's all about the heroes doing the pose and doing the move and shooting the lightning and the lasers and what have you at just nothing. Because the nothing, like the villain doesn't matter. It's just they're just rolling over cannon fodder. And I think it'd be way more interesting for them to fight, you know,
something else,
something interesting.
Yeah, well, I guess we have seen a lot of like armies that they face like faceless, you know, like robots or aliens or whatever. But I guess we're past that point.
I'll also, and we'll get to this in spoilers. I feel like a lot of this movie, they decided where it was going, like elements of where we're going to end up, and they plotted it backwards, which I hate.
Yeah,
like where they go, oh, okay, well, we need the characters to be here. How would they get here? Well, what if they did this? Well, it wouldn't make sense for the characters to do this, but we've got to get them there, so we'll just have them do that. In fact, I think the end of the movie, they maybe thought of first and worked backwards.
Okay. Yeah. Counterpoint.
Yes.
Maybe you just went in wanting to hate this, Mason.
Oh my God, maybe I did. Look,
that's my favorite valid criticism.
I've committed several cardinal sins of movie reviewing. One, I went in going to hate it. Two, I'm a big DC fanboy and I love everything DC and I hate everything Marvel. And three, I didn't list a bunch of things in order. And then after each one say that I thought they were cool. So I'm sorry, everyone.
That's all right. We can always re-record something next week.
That's
maybe.
very true. But if I may, I don't think this is a spoiler because it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
Well, Gorr doesn't kill anybody on screen. He supposedly killed like 1,000 guys.
He kills like a guy up top.
Well, yeah. But then the rest of it's just like, oh my God, we're getting all these distress calls. Look at all these dots. Look at all the gods he's killed. Show me any of them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
See some interesting gods. and the
Interesting
like.
gods, yeah.
That's fair enough.
Nice.
Yeah. An extra 10 minutes of god killing is what you're saying.
Please. I mean, again, this was the shortest one.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the shortest
Well,
one.
it's one of the shorter ones that we've had. Also, that's good.
Yeah. Well.
Shorter is okay. Anyways, before we do spoilers, we say best movie ever, worst movie ever. Obviously, you're going to say...
I'm going to say worst movie ever.
And obviously, I'm going to say the opposite. I thought it was best movie ever.
Wow, the best movie ever, James.
It's the best movie ever. And you think this is the worst movie ever?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's quickly talk about a couple of the new elements introduced, Mason, including, this is an older element. Sif is back, briefly.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen more of Sif. Is she going to get the destroyer arm? Because she has one arm at the end.
Yeah.
I hope so. Or somebody should get that arm. Somebody should get that bloody arm, Mason.
Sif, you're in such a battle.
Yeah.
We didn't see it, but you were in it.
She
Your
was.
arms come off.
Yeah. From the battle.
Yes.
There's a little Heimdall. Did you see?
What, his son?
Yeah. He's in it.
I know.
I didn't know he had a son.
Nope. He's due for this.
He's
He's one of those child soldiers.
That's right.
Yeah.
With the action sequence I was talking about that I liked, and I guess it's not so much the action, but it's more the concept of Thor like temporarily giving his powers out to all the Asgardian
Like at the end of Buffy.
children, maybe. And then that's not a show. No one's seen it.
Uh-huh.
But and they all have. Then they got their own little weapons that they use, and they do a big battle. I thought that was really fun.
Maybe Gorr could have opened up the Shadow Realm, and all the children that have been sacrificed by the gods could have come out and fought those children.
That would have been sick, man.
Would have been sick.
Or just like spiders or whatever.
Yes, more spiders. Yeah.
Or whatever.
Just some whatevers. Just some sludge.
Yeah.
Just could have blasted some sludge.
No, I thought that was really cool, and I think that final moment, like leading, like with Jane Foster, and with teaming up with Thor to take out, Gorr, was good, and also the moment where they're having a little discussion, and Gorr, who's been completely stripped of his powers, managed to slowly crawl his way into eternity.
Yeah.
Like they could have got him, but they didn't. They just let him crawl
so
in there.
eternity's.
It's the volume, yes,
Well, yes, it is the volume. So eternity exists at the center of the universe,
or something.
and if you go to eternity, you can wish for something, and it'll happen.
Because eternity's there.
So because eternity's there, so your options are.
I can't believe they put eternity in this.
You think it's a waste of eternity?
I just can't believe they did it. 'Cause it's so bizarre.
It is bizarre. So your two options are: you could wish for every god in the universe to die.
Yep.
Or you could wish for one little girl to come back to life.
Yep.
Nothing else?
I would do that.
Couldn't wish for your wife to come back to life, who doesn't exist in this movie for some reason?
Nah.
Wow. All right,
Maybe
great.
she sucks.
Couldn't wish for your daughter and yourself to come back to life?
No, one wish, Mason.
Oh. It's all the one sentence, though.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure the specifics of how it works.
And I'll tell you for why they don't do that, James.
I think he couldn't wish himself back because...
Why not?
Because he's corrupted by the thing and the whatever.
Here's the thing. So I don't want to compare this too much to the comic books because it cannot possibly.
And they're
compare.
also very different. There's some core or gore ideas, if you will,
Oh.
which are carried over, but they are very different.
Yeah. So in the comic books, his wife and his child die.
Yeah.
But in this, his wife doesn't exist.
But did at some point, presumably.
She might be mentioned, but we don't see her. But the reason I feel clearly is that they at the end of the movie they wanted Thor to have a daughter,
Yeah.
a Thorter. So they just wrote out the wife. But that's weird because she's never even mentioned. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand how he wouldn't go, I wish for my wife to come back to life and look after the daughter or whatever if he couldn't come back to life.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like, well, they clearly just...
Yeah, I mean, he could have
it's
wished...
weird they chopped
Why
around.
didn't he wish for a second wish? Then he would have had two wishes.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, if he wished for a second wish, he'd only have one wish because he used his first wish to wish for a second wish. But yeah, no, I mean, when you open it up to you have a wish...
Yeah. Like
it can be anything. And then you've got infinite scenarios of why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that?
But I mean, that's the thing. Like, if one element of it is I could kill I don't know how many gods there are in the Marvel universe, but like 1,000, 10,000, 1,000,000, I don't know. But there's not enough power to bring back two people. To life.
Maybe she died under a circumstance where, like, for whatever reason,
like a big rock,
or
fell on
like
her.
she didn't want to come back. Maybe she died of natural causes, or I don't know.
Well, then we should have put her in the opening sequence.
Maybe,
and then we'd know.
But you can't put it in the opening sequence when you get to the end of the movie because the movie's it's already happened.
Oh no, you're right, and they film them in order.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, that's Chris Hemsworth's daughter as well.
That's why it happened. Yeah, no, I learned that afterwards. But so the opening sequence where Gorr and he goes like it starts out nice, and I even think the idea of like this surreal. He goes into this kind of surreal oasis because that's an interesting. You always see people in they're dying of thirst in the desert and they see an oasis and it's not real. But in this case, it is real. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But then he goes in there and like his god is like cartoonishly indifferent to whether this guy's going to live or die or whatever. But then he's just like the whole sequence is it just sort of devolves into like, oh yes, well I'm your god and I hate you and I'm glad everyone you love is dead and I don't care if you die. What's that? Oh, it's a sword. It's actually a sword that can kill gods, and if you're near it, it makes you want to kill gods. And gosh, it would certainly kill me. And I really, yeah.
Well, it has to be under 2 hours, so you got.
That's true, but it's just like, oh, and if anybody who hated me was in possession of the sword, it could certainly kill me. Oh, you've got the sword now, and you're killing me with it.
But I think also you put that down to like the pettiness of that guy. Well, he's petty, he's vain, he doesn't think he's in any danger. He's also not near the sword when he grabs him with the sword.
It's a magic sword.
Yeah, exactly. I know that, but also
every weapon in this movie you can just grab it from.
It comes to you like a dog. But also, I guess in that scenario, like the idea of a lot of the gods in this are that they're morons, and like when a lot of the ancient gods, in their mythology, like all the Greek gods and Roman or whatever, they're all petty and they're infighting and they're all inbred and they're stupid. And I think that's a reflection of a lot of the decisions made in this.
I think you've thought about this more than the filmmakers.
I think you've thought about
it.
I've
definitely. I think we both. I think collectively we've both thought about it more than the filmmakers. Honestly. Why'd the hammer call for Jane?
Because he asked her to look after her.
Did he?
Yeah. There's a moment in a flashback where he's like, "Hey, I love Jane. You should look after her." And then it did.
Is that why she's worthy?
Probably, one of the reasons.
Or it's just because they hung out. Is it just because they hung out on the couch a bit?
It's probably a bit of everything. Like, we don't really know how it works. I think it works for people when it needs to work.
Did it know that it was killing her?
Well, that's interesting because I don't know.
Whoa!
How much does it know?
Yeah.
Like if it was, then this is a criticism I wanted to bring up. If he told it to look after Jane, then it didn't do that.
Yes.
It did the opposite of.
Yeah, it poisoned her.
But maybe
it's like if you asked your dog to look after somebody and it poisoned them.
So maybe
put arsenic in its tea.
Yeah, but maybe it doesn't know that. It doesn't know what chemotherapy is.
Well, see, that's the thing, because we don't like it's so. This is the first time these weapons have been sentient, it seems.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, okay, so Stormbreaker is jealous of Jane or Mjolnir or something, and can operate on its own and like sneak around corners and give devilish looks or whatever.
Yeah.
But then as soon as Gorr gets it, it's just like, all right, I guess I'm just a
I think maybe some of that was just he was calling it and it was like, oh, was that me? Like I don't necessarily think it was like, I don't think it's got full on sentience. I think it's like jealous as much as like, I don't know. A rat can be jealous.
Okay.
It's got the brain of a rat.
Oh, no.
But I don't know. And if you explain this, it ruins everything. So it's better to not explain it. Because then, like, why doesn't it just fly around the universe just killing bad guys all the time by itself?
Isn't that a great question?
Well, yeah, because it's not that sentient. It's the sentient as a rat.
Oh, okay. All right, so if we're going with the rat sentience rule. Okay, all right.
Yeah. I also thought that, I liked the relationship that developed between Jane and Thor. I liked the reasons that they broke up, that they both had their own things going on, and Thor was afraid to get close to anybody, which he would be because he's been around for like thousands of years and he's seen multiple people die, etc. and so forth. And when he finally comes to realize that this is something, that he wants, and it's worth either having briefly than not at all.
That's true.
And her death probably would have been even more compelling if we didn't just see her at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Where she was just like, hello, I will be back down the line.
That's right, yeah.
Because, we also see, of course, Heimdall's there. Presumably there's just a magic door you can find to get in or out of that place.
Nobody else, though. Just
you do a warrior's death and so on. There's probably a bunch of people there. Did Odin have a warrior's death?
No.
He just turned into big Stardust.
He turned into Stardust like a coward.
Well, but then again, Jane and Odin had the same death. They both had the Stardust.
That's true.
Death.
Okay, well, that means...
Thor should have said, while you're wishing your daughter back, say, and Jane Foster not have cancer, please.
No, I can only do the one wish, as we've previously established.
No, he says and. It's run on.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Where's that wife?
She's dead. Under a rock.
I don't like it.
She's under a rock, Mason. It doesn't work if she has a wife, Mason.
Do you remember that scene?
Maybe they produce asexually. Maybe they.
Well, then explain. Well, so okay, all right. So,
I-
like everybody in. How about
He might have a family and a wife. Though.
How
They
about
might
this?
have said it.
How about this? How about every alien race in the universe mates like Korg's race except humans? So everybody just holds hands and then they've got a a child or whatever.
Yeah, cool.
So remember the scene where they're like, "Hey, why don't we use Stormbreaker to go there?" And they're like, "Well, Stormbreaker, you can't rely on Stormbreaker. It's inaccurate and it's unreliable."
Yeah.
Is it?
No, it's not at
No.
all. We've seen it be. It's
And then-
100% accurate.
It's 100% accurate all the time, and it's also 100% accurate later in the movie multiple times, including when it's being used by someone who's never used it before.
Yeah.
But what happened is they needed to put them on the boat, and they also needed multiple ways of getting places.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they could have said something like, let's do this regularly.
yes, they could have said that.
Yeah, it did.
Wouldn't it be better to be on a boat?
I think it would have been, maybe they could have said like, something's going on in the universe and Stormbreaker is fluctuating wildly or something like that because it is the key to the center of the universe and it's throwing off its whatever.
That's perfect.
Yeah, but then maybe they didn't improv that on the day.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, this feels like there should have been a second draft or a second take.
Yeah.
A lot of these scenes. It's just like, give me...
Do you want to talk about some stuff that was cut? Not
Yes.
that to stop any of this conversation.
No,
but
I think I'm
thought
just about done.
Okay, cool. So we will get back to the post-credits as well because there's a pretty significant one that we will talk about. So Peter Dinklage, Lena Headey, and Jeff Goldblum were in this.
Oh.
So Peter Dinklage is he's the big dwarf guy.
And he forged the Stormbreaker.
Forged with whatever.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum obviously was coming in previous movies. Lena Headey, I don't know. But the only reason that came out is because her management was suing her for something and it was revealed that she had a role in this that was then cut.
Yeah, right.
Presumably a god or something, or maybe
Yeah,
Gorr's
right.
wife. I don't know.
Gorr's wife, that'd be nice to know what happened to his wife.
Yeah, she was under a rock, Mason, or that he produces asexually.
under a rock,
You
yeah.
know? There's a moment.
I just don't understand why he'd be like, yeah, no, actually, the guy who I've been trying to kill and he's been trying to kill me, I think you should take my daughter.
But I guess he realizes that Thor is a good person.
And he realizes that the daughter is Chris Hemsworth's daughter.
Yeah, he knew that.
Yeah, he knew that.
Because they knew them, like he probably met her before the scene was shot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Before they improv the scene.
Yeah.
There was going to be a couple of things from Gorr that was removed. You know, he's got some scarring on him where he was going to like cut off his tattoos. And they filmed that, but they're like, this is a bit much. There was also a primal scream that Bale wanted to put in, which he likened to something from an Aphex Twin music video. But it was too intense, so they took it out. And speaking of, remember they said in 2019 when they revealed this movie, Tessa Thompson said, as new king, Valkyrie has to find her queen. So that's the first order of business.
Oh, she kissed that lady on the hand.
Briefly.
Do you think that was the queen?
No.
Oh.
I don't know. So Tessa Thompson 2022, though, said, we've had a lot of conversations about it. I think there's a lot of folks that are righteously very hungry for that representation to exist in these movies, as am I. But I also think it's important not to hang the character's hat solely on her sexual identity just because she's a queer character. I think that's one way of minimizing her humanity, actually. It's the only facet that you get to explore her in. I don't know. I think it would have been interesting to see her find somebody to rule with, though.
Yeah.
Because her arc was, I'm just going to stop. Like,
Yeah.
I did some stuff
Yeah.
and I got stabbed.
I prefer to just do admin, actually.
Yeah, because she's kind of like, I like being king, but the admin sucks. Let's do an adventure. Okay, now I'm going to leave it here and you guys finish the little adventure.
We've done the calculation. There's actually not enough transport devices to get us all back and forth. We've done one of us is the boat and one of us is the farmer and one of us is the chicken and one of us is the sheep. And if we're all in the boat...
One's a fox, I think.
Yeah, one's a fox is going to eat the sheep.
It's grain,
yeah,
chicken, fox.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
Well, and this would be
Horse, hammer,
Pegasus.
Thunderbolt.
Yeah, horse and hammer, yeah. Whatever. All the Monopoly pieces.
Yeah.
So, I also, at the same time, it's not a Valkyrie story.
No, that's
really,
true,
is
yeah.
it? So, I don't know.
Valkyrie spin-off.
Yeah, maybe.
Did you see there was some sort of Q&A and it was Taika Waititi and Tessa Thompson and
Was it scenes on something? Notes
maybe,
on a scene?
and it was at a con, I think, and it was
the very gay
Natalie
thing?
Portman, yeah, and somebody said, how gay is the movie? And it got thrown to Natalie Portman. She's like, so gay. And it's like, that you should, it's not, but also you shouldn't have put somebody on the spot like that.
Yeah, what are you going to say? Not very gay?
Just a regular amount of gay, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it's probably the most gay MCU movie.
What about Eternals?
Oh, yeah, that's gay. There's some gay stuff in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's as gay as Disney is willing to go in
That's
any
true,
of this.
yeah.
You know?
Regular amount. We can cut most of it out for foreign markets.
Show me a passionate kiss. Show me a passionate kiss, Mason. Do it right now. Practice on your hand.
I can practice on this.
He's got a Morbius calendar.
I have a Morbius calendar here, yeah.
That's for another thing we're doing.
Yeah.
So there was also, the last bit I've got here, there was a dance scene to an ABBA song, but this is Chris Hemsworth, but it didn't make it into for a movie for a few reasons. It was a full-on dance scene. It was full of dance-off, shooting lightning out of his fingertips and so on. They also cut a dance scene out of his Ghostbusters movie in 2016.
They did, didn't they? It was going to be like 40 minutes long.
If you recall. Now let's talk about the second post-credits, or the first post-credits. So speaking of gods in this universe, Russell Rock, Russell
number one god.
We think that he's dead, but he just got lightning through the chest. Because he was being racist.
Because then he can live to sacrifice kids another day.
Exactly. So
he should be dead.
Yeah,
they
I
all
agree.
Should be dead.
I agree.
If the next movie isn't Thor cleaning up all the evil gods.
They do kill a lot of. I think they're foot soldiers that they kill.
Yeah, he kills a lot of foot soldiers.
Yeah, golden-blooded foot soldiers.
Also, why doesn't Gorr kill all the Asgardian kids once he's got Thor on the way?
Because he's not a god. He's not a child killer.
Yeah, but they're all going to be gods, aren't they?
No, they're not all gods.
They will be gods.
No, they're not. Like, there's only a few Asgardians. Like, they're all super strong.
Sounds like, godly to me.
And durable, but they're not gods in the way that Thor or Loki or the royalty are.
Because of magic?
I don't fucking know. Because of technology that is indistinguishable from magic, Mason.
But wouldn't Heimdall's son become a god because he's got Heimdall's
Maybe,
powers?
yeah. But is Heimdall a god?
Yeah, I think so. He's a god.
Is in this?
Yeah.
I saw him get stabbed.
Yeah, but you can stab Thor
yeah,
also.
and Loki, they all get stabbed.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the definition of
gods? But here's the thing. I think, like, if you'd given me a scene where he's like, I could kill you, but I'm not going to kill you because I love kids, because I love my daughter, and you remind me of my daughter, that would be nice.
Yeah.
But, like, as far as he's concerned, they're just the children of gods, and you should have killed them.
I think you went into this movie wanting to hate it, Mason.
I did. That's true. I'm the biggest DC fanboy. I only love DC. I hate Marvel.
Anyways, Hercules is in this at the end.
Yeah, it's Brett Goldstein.
That's right. He says, hello, I'm from Ted Lasso. I'm famous, and now I'm in a Marvel movie.
I'm the guy you thought was CG, and here I am. I'm real.
That's right.
Yeah.
Taika Waititi spoke to Uproxx about this cameo. He says, I don't know if that's to do with Thor or if it's to do with how that will develop, because obviously Hercules, there's a character from the books as well. And so, yeah, this will be interesting to see, because Kevin, he's obviously the mastermind of all these threads and how they'll tie up and how they meet, mix and match. So I'm curious to find out myself. So I think this was added potentially as just to add a Hercules to the universe, not necessarily as a Thor 5 situation.
Right.
I mean, if they both stick around in the universe, they will meet and be like, you threw a lightning bolt at my father and so on. I'm doing my character from Ted Lasso and so on. Good casting, I think, as well. But what I'm saying is I don't think this is necessarily going to be a Thor 5 situation.
Interesting. Do you think this guy could carry a movie by himself?
I think, maybe. Yeah. I also think they CGI'd him up a little, bigger.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about how big that guy is normally and when this movie was shot. But then again, when a cameo's shot, who knows?
That's true.
And so
they could have just done the
he's like a lean soccer dude normally.
Yeah, they could have just done the free guy and pasted his face on a big muscle man.
That's right. So, but you like an introduction of you like seeing a thing, and you're like,
I love seeing.
I recognize
that's
things.
The guy.
I see things, and I know things.
Yes,
that's what you say.
That's what I love.
Was that something that you're like interesting?
Sure.
He had his club.
He did have his famous Herculean club.
That's right.
Also, I bet DC are kicking themselves because they're all about like Ares and.
Yeah, Shazam is going to be, or Black Adam's all going to be like gods and whatever.
Yeah. They're like, damn it, they got Hercules first.
That's all right. You got Aquaman.
That's true.
They've got Namor, so we'll see what happens. Got some reviews here from people who've written in.
Oh.
And like me and you, Mason,
yes,
they are wildly. There's a division here.
Oh,
it's from Peeping Tom. He says spoiler-free review of Thor and Thor Love and Thunder. Christian Bale is great. Turns out Natalie Portman can act if she wants to, and excellent music. So there you go. Hashtag Thor Love and Thunder.
Let me tell you about the music, James.
Yeah,
good songs, but I feel like if the scenes were cooler, I'd be like, oh, this is a rockin' good time.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's just like you're trying to fix this with Guns N' Roses. You know what I mean?
Am I trying to fix it?
Are you trying to fix it with
Guns
N' Roses?
That's why I was playing it on my phone during the movie.
Yeah, that's what I figured. You put those headphones on me.
That's right. Jara Kett says, hashtag Weekly Planet Pod, just saw Thor Love and Thunder. Love the emotions towards the end. The first half felt mostly trivial, apart from the precious little gore we got. Liked Jane finally getting her due. Best bit, Conor Fruita rejoins the MCU. I would say that's probably the tweet that we got that's like most in line with where I'm at. It's from C-Ray, who says, Thor 4. Thor 4 was fun to watch, but felt like something was missing. The magic wasn't working for me during the serious and heartfelt scenes. I didn't feel invested in this one. Worst movie ever. Best pod ever, though.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Not bad.
This is from Vinton, who says, #Weekly Planet Pod. Spoilers for Thor. I love Taika Waititi, but too many jokes. Man, and honestly, Korg should have died. I agree. Because too many funny people together make for too many cuts to jokes. I think there's probably some truth in that as well.
Yeah,
if everybody's like the funny one.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this before, like, when we talked about the various Ghostbusters movies, or really anything, like, in the Ghostbusters movie, Egon is funny not because he's doing jokes, because he's so serious, in contrast to the other. Or like, Captain America in Age of Ultron, which is not, not the greatest one, but, where he's like language.
And it's incredibly funny as a movie.
It's incredibly funny stuff, but because he's just the, he's the man out of time and he hasn't quite caught up to the fact that nobody cares about swearing anymore, whatever it is. But like, James, we have a lot of fun when you ask me to guess the movie based on the scathing review.
It's
true.
If
you really wanted to stump me, you might want to do guess who said any one of these jokes in Thor: Love and Thunder, because I'd be like, Thor, I don't know.
Do you want me to do that?
No. It'd be 0 out of 100, I think.
Yeah.
Because they all sound like, and that's a criticism of the MCU that I think is generally not valid, which is, everybody's quipping.
See, I think sometimes that is valid. And I think, like, for example, in Doctor Strange, there's a few moments where he's like, the Illuminati? And it's like, don't do jokes. You're not a jokes guy. You don't have to be a jokes guy. You don't have to be Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is Paul Rudd. You do a different thing. Yeah. I saw an interesting thing of like, kind of where is this going? Who's leading the Avengers? Who's like, because you knew that like Tony Stark and Captain America were the core, if you will, of the universe.
Yes.
What is it now?
Oh, I think Doctor Strange is taking the arrogant Tony Stark.
I think that's what they're saying, but is that what's happening though?
What do you mean, like?
Like, do you feel that that's a solid enough foundation to put? Like, just say, Doctor Strange in 5 years' time sacrifices himself or whatever. Are you going to care in the same way that you did when Tony Stark did it?
Yes, I think so. Basically, I mean, if we get it, what are we up to? Avengers 5?
Yeah, probably.
I think if we put him in that, and if we assemble a new team in Avengers 5, I think so. And he's got like, the power set is, it's magic as opposed to technology. It's in a lot of ways, it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
They can both like, there's a bunch of guys and I'll shoot out a bunch of stuff and I'll get them all.
I'll get them all.
I'll do one guy's got a targeting thing and the other guy's got a wavy hand thing. Yep. It's essentially the same thing.
And they both have weird little beards.
They have weird little beards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see kind of where all of this goes, and we'll find out obviously at Comic-Con in a few weeks. We're apparently going to get a better idea of the direction it's going. I also, just to wrap it up, I liked when Natalie Portman whispered her little, like, she found her catchphrase and she whispered it at the end, because I think, like, you couldn't nail that. There was nothing she would have said there would have been like, that's amazing.
Oh, I was going to say that earlier. Like, if I related to any of the jokes in this, it was that Natalie Portman thing where she was like, I don't have a catchphrase, because they were kind of poor quality jokes. Because this is her first time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they could have been better.
Yes.
Like there could have been hypothetically, I mean, it could go anyway, but like hypothetically, if she was so excited to do catchphrases and all of her catchphrases are like horrible sexual innuendos and she didn't know because she was just so excited to do a catchphase, I feel that would be a funny joke.
Okay, sure.
Or something like that. But the fact that you're just like, I'm going to throw a hammer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I think the only the payoff for that being that, the end bit where she dies in that moment, that tender little moment, Mason, that for me was what made that whole thing pay off. I mean, the rest of that I didn't particularly like, but that end part I did like. So maybe I just like the payoff and not the rest of it, I guess.
Maybe, yeah.
Would probably be a better way to put that. Yeah. Anyways, I thought it was pretty good.
No, I thought it was pretty bad.
And also, the Thor movies are mostly okay.
Yeah, I mean, this has given me a new look. We've talked about the first two Thor movies on Caravan of Garbage recently, and I still like those two, and I really like the last one. So
this was the last one.
Oh no! I take it all back. I liked Ragnarok.
I know
that's a good one.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened here. I don't know. I feel like, and look,
too much free reign, maybe. Because it seems as
Because
well.
he didn't write, the Taika Waititi didn't write the last one, but he wrote this one.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think it's the. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think also people might be fed up with Taika Waititi. As I've noticed on Twitter, people are like, stop with your silliness.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, so I don't know. So maybe he's going to lose the Star Wars movie now.
Oh, I mean, who knows in the matrix of things that make you lose a Star Wars movie?
Yeah.
Is it Rotten Tomatoes? Is it box office? Is it whatever?
That's right. I like all of his movies and him. Yeah. Unless he gets cancelled for something, in which case I'm with everybody. I'm with the general consensus.
That's exactly right, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Look, ultimately, a full-on comedy would have worked for me if there was an acknowledgement that it was still part of this wider universe. And you've got to follow the rules of the wider universe, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
And also, it wasn't that funny.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I don't think it was that funny either. I thought it was but fun.
And it was very flat.
Like, visually.
Not even... It was flat visually, but like I said, I think I mentioned it to me, I'll stop saying bad things about this movie eventually. But I feel I haven't got it across why I disliked it and how intensely I disliked it. But I feel like it was just it just felt like people standing in a room over and over and over again.
Star Wars prequel vibes.
Yes.
Natalie Portman.
Oh,
curse.
no.
Yeah.
She's done it again.
She did it. It's her fault. Yeah.
Boo.
Anyways, if you could leave your comments wherever you're listening to this on how one or potentially both of us has completely missed the mark on this one this time. Normally, I agree with James or Mason. Yeah, let me write it for you. Normally, I agree with insert host here, but they're way off the mark this time. Anyways.
Oh, but of the movie, I saw it and I thought it was cool. So just in case anybody's... That should cover it, right?
Yeah, that's all good.
Act 1 I thought was cool.
Yep.
Act 2 I thought was cool. Act 3 I thought was cool. So
equally cool.
Yeah. Well, equally cool.